Have you ever had a single moment where your emotions completely hijacked your day? Maybe it was one angry text, one disappointing conversation, or one unexpected rejection, and suddenly the entire world looked darker. Here's the truth. It wasn't the situation that ruined your day. It was your emotions. They're the invisible force steering your thoughts, your choices, and ultimately your life. If you don't learn to master them, they'll master you. So here's the bottom line. Your emotions are not just feelings. They are the architects of your reality, your decisions, your relationships, and your future. If you want to transform your life, stop waiting for circumstances to change. Start learning how to master the emotions inside you. Because the moment you do, life doesn't just feel different, it becomes different. When you wake up in the morning, the very first feeling you experience sets the tone for the entire day. If you wake up energized and grateful, suddenly the world feels lighter, even the challenges don't seem so intimidating. But if you wake up anxious, sad, or overwhelmed, it's like dragging a heavy weight through every conversation, every task, every interaction. What's fascinating is that nothing in the outside world actually changed. The same tasks are waiting, the same people exist in your life. But because your emotions shifted, the way you interpret everything shifts too. That's the real power of emotions. They filter your reality. It's not life that feels hard, it's the lens through which you're viewing it that makes it feel impossible. Think about the last time you were angry. Every little inconvenience seemed like a personal attack. Someone cuts you off in traffic. It feels unbearable. A friend doesn't text back right away. You assume the worst. Yet in a calm, happy state, you would laugh off the same situations or not even notice them at all. This proves that reality is not objective in the way we think. We don't see life as it is. We see life as we are in that emotional moment. That's why two people can experience the exact same event, like losing a job, and one sees it as devastation, while the other sees it as an opportunity for reinvention. The difference isn't in the event itself, the difference lies in the emotional lens. This is why learning to manage your emotions is so critical. Most of us go through life believing that our emotions are automatic, like weather patterns we can't control. But emotions aren't random storms, they are signals, they are interpretations your mind makes based on the meaning you give to events. When something happens, your brain asks, "What does this mean?" And the emotion you feel is the answer you give. For example, if someone cancels plans with you, you can choose the meaning "they don't care about me" and feel rejected, or you can choose the meaning "they must be busy" and feel understanding. The external event doesn't dictate how you feel, your interpretation does. This is powerful because it means you can shift your perspective at any time. You can choose to put on a new emotional lens. It doesn't mean denying what you feel, but it does mean recognizing that emotions are not the truth of reality. They are the tint on the glasses you're wearing. And when you change the tint, you change everything you see. Most people like to believe they are rational beings, making clear, headed decisions based on logic, data, and careful reasoning. But the truth is, the majority of the choices you make each day are driven not by logic, but by emotions. Think about the times you bought something you didn't really need. You may have justified it later with reasons like "it was on sale," or "I deserved a treat." But in the moment, it was an emotional impulse, excitement, desire, or maybe even the need to feel better after a tough day, that pushed you to pull out your card. Your brain may later construct a story that makes it sound logical, but the spark of action came from emotion. Every decision you make, big or small, is influenced by how you feel in the moment. Take relationships as an example. How many times have people stayed in situations far longer than they should have, not because it made logical sense, but because fear of being alone or the comfort of the familiar kept them trapped? Logic says if you're unhappy, you leave. But emotions like fear, guilt, or hope tell you to stay, and more often than not, emotions win. The same happens in your career. You might know on paper that taking a certain opportunity is a smart move, but if you feel unworthy, insecure, or doubtful, you hesitate. On the flip side, people sometimes jump into risky decisions not because it's the most logical step, but because their emotions, excitement, passion, or even desperation, overpower reason. This is why it's so important to recognize the role emotions play in decision making. When you don't pause to separate the emotion from the action, you end up living reactively. You say yes when you wanted to say no, because you don't want to disappoint someone. You lash out in anger and make a choice you regret because you didn't wait for the storm to pass. You let fear of failure stop you from pursuing a dream that, deep down, you know could change your life. In every case, the emotion takes the driver's seat, and logic is tied up in the trunk. But here's the empowering truth. Emotions don't have to dictate your decisions forever. By creating a pause, taking a breath, stepping back, and asking yourself, am I about to act on emotion or on clarity? You can regain control. That pause is small, but it's powerful enough to change the course of your choices. Because in that space, you can separate what you feel from what you truly want. And when you do that consistently, your decisions stop being reactions to fleeting emotions and start becoming steps toward the life you actually want to build. The quality of your relationships is a mirror of how you manage your emotions. Every interaction you have with another person is colored not just by what you say, but by how you say it, and that comes directly from the emotional state you are in. Imagine coming home after a stressful day. If you haven't processed your frustration, you might snap at your partner over something trivial, not because they did anything wrong, but because you carried the weight of your emotions into that moment. Now, what could have been a peaceful evening turns into conflict. The event itself was small, but the emotion behind it magnified the problem. This shows us that relationships don't just thrive or fail on actions, they thrive or fail on the emotional energy we bring into them. At the same time, think about how emotions can strengthen relationships. When you allow yourself to express vulnerability, to say, I feel hurt, instead of lashing out, or I miss you. Instead of pretending you don't care, you create a space for honesty and intimacy. Emotions, when expressed with awareness, can turn ordinary conversations into moments of deep connection. A simple thank you, said with genuine gratitude, can build trust and closeness, while the same words said without emotion might feel hollow. The difference lies not in the words, but in the feeling carried within them. What's dangerous is when emotions go unmanaged. Anger, jealousy, resentment, if left unchecked, they corrode the foundation of any bond, whether it's romantic, professional, or with family and friends. People often walk away from relationships not because of one big betrayal, but because of repeated emotional reactions that chipped away at safety and respect. Constant criticism fueled by irritation, silence fueled by hurt pride, or defensiveness fueled by insecurity can all quietly destroy what might have been a strong partnership. Yet the opposite is also true. Choosing to bring patience when you feel irritated, compassion when you feel misunderstood, or calmness when you feel provoked can completely shift the dynamic. Emotions are contagious. When you manage your own, you influence the emotional state of the people around you. A single moment of choosing kindness over anger can de-escalate a conflict and replace it with understanding. A single moment of choosing empathy over judgment can turn an argument into a breakthrough. Your relationships are not defined by the grand gestures, but by the daily emotional exchanges. Each look, each tone, each response carries weight. When you learn to master your emotions, you stop letting temporary feelings damage long-term connections. Instead, you start to use those emotions as bridges that deepen trust, strengthen bonds, and create the kind of relationships that support and elevate your life. Emotions are either the fuel that propels you forward or the chains that keep you stuck in the same place for years. Think about fear. It has stopped countless people from chasing opportunities, asking for what they deserve, or stepping outside their comfort zone. Fear whispers that you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that failure will crush you. And many people listen, letting that emotion dictate their actions until their potential becomes nothing more than a daydream. Doubt works the same way. It convinces you to take smaller steps than you're capable of, to stay hidden when you should shine, to settle when you could soar. These emotions create invisible walls, and unless you confront them, you end up building your life inside a cage of your own making. But emotions can also be the very force that drives transformation. Passion has built empires. Love has inspired people to move mountains. Determination has allowed ordinary individuals to accomplish extraordinary feats. Every time you've ever broken through a limit, every time you've ever surprised yourself with what you were capable of, there was an emotion fueling that action. It could have been excitement that made you say yes to a challenge, anger that pushed you to finally change something you'd been tolerating, or courage that overpowered your fear just long enough for you to take the leap. Your biggest breakthroughs never came from pure logic alone. They came from an emotional state strong enough to push you into action. The key is recognizing that emotions are not permanent. They are states that can be shifted. Just as fear can paralyze you, courage can be summoned. Just as doubt can shrink you, confidence can be built through repetition and evidence. The emotions you cultivate determine whether you spend your life retreating or expanding. People who seem fearless are not without fear. They've simply trained themselves to act in spite of it, to let the emotion of purpose or vision outweigh the emotion of fear. Every day, you have a choice. You can let negative emotions block you, keeping you from living fully, or you can intentionally generate emotions that fuel growth. That might mean choosing gratitude when your mind wants to focus on lack, choosing curiosity instead of judgment, or choosing determination when giving up feels easier. Each choice compounds over time, and soon your emotional state becomes your identity. And your identity shapes your destiny. The life you create is not a reflection of what you know. It's a reflection of what you feel strong enough to act on. When you learn to shift your emotions, you gain the power to shift your entire life. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, it becomes clear that emotions are not just fleeting feelings that come and go. They are the foundation of every experience you have in life. They frame your perspective, they guide your decisions, they shape your relationships, and they either hold you back or push you forward. Every single day, your emotions are writing the story of your life, whether you're conscious of it or not. And the most powerful realization is this: you don't have to be a passive character in that story. You have the ability to direct it by choosing how you interpret your emotions, how you respond to them, and how you use them to fuel the life you want. Too often, we let emotions run the show without even realizing it. We blame circumstances, people, or events for how we feel, forgetting that emotions are simply our interpretation of those things. By giving away this power, we live reactively up one moment, down the next, tossed around like a ship with no anchor. But when you understand that emotions are signals, not dictators, you start to see them differently. Fear doesn't mean stop, it means prepare. Anger doesn't mean destroy. It means something needs to change. Sadness doesn't mean you're broken. It means you care. By reframing emotions, you reclaim control over your life. And this control is never about suppressing what you feel. It's about awareness, mastery, and intentionality. It's about catching yourself before an emotion derails a relationship, or before fear stops you from chasing a dream, or before stress convinces you to give up. Mastery of emotions is not about being emotionless. It's about directing your emotions so they serve your growth rather than sabotage it. It's the art of turning vulnerability into connection, turning fear into courage, turning frustration into drive. When you develop this skill, life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you actively create. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, am I letting this emotion define me, or am I using it to refine me? Because your emotions are not here to imprison you. They are here to teach you, guide you, and ignite you. When you start living with this awareness, You stop being a victim of your feelings and start becoming the architect of your destiny. Master your emotions, and you master your life. That is the true power waiting inside you, and the moment you choose to claim it, everything changes. Thank you so much for giving me your time and energy today. I truly appreciate you for being here, for listening, and for opening yourself up to new ideas that can impact your life in a powerful way. Remember, your emotions are not your enemies. They are your greatest tools, and when you learn to master them, you unlock the ability to create the life you've always wanted. If this message connected with you, I encourage you to reflect on it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and most importantly, start applying it in your daily life. Small shifts in how you handle your emotions can create massive changes in your relationships, your decisions, and your future. Thank you again for joining me on this journey. Stay committed to your growth, stay aware of your emotions, and never forget the incredible power you have within you. Until next time, take care of yourself, take control of your emotions, and take steps toward the life you deserve. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you again very soon.